Hey guys, there's a really cool company called Gamebox Monthly that I'm kind of obsessed with. What is Gamebox Monthly, you ask? Well, it is a service that delivers indie tabletop games to your door every month. How cool is that? It's really cool. Let me tell you why. People are so consumed by devices and screens. We need face-to-face human connection. Come on. So it's a great way to discover new games together with the people that you love and care about, or even just remotely like, or maybe you don't like them at all. Maybe you'll get to like them after you play some of these tabletop games. You never know. It's a great way to re-engage your original social network. So go to GameboxMonthly.com and rediscover social.
Krista! Hey, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Really? Because you seem a little...
I said I'm fine.
Okay, well, we all love you, so if you need to talk, we're...
She's fine. She's fine.
I'm fine. Dun, 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 dun. Hello, everyone. I've been thinking a lot today about, well, not even just today, just in general. I've been thinking a lot about how did I get here? Like, not just here, but here. Why am I where I am now? And why am I not in a different place? Or, no, actually, how the fuck did I get here? And it was kind of interesting because my guest that I have on today, we were talking yesterday, and I've been wanting to do my podcast for a while. And he said, what do you think of this book? And the book is called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. It's by Yuval Harari. And it basically takes you back all the way. It's a history of humankind, which is kind of amazing. Now, see, you hear my guest laughing now, and I haven't even introduced him. He has a great laugh. He is amazing and awesome and is a fantastic comedian. He's still laughing at me. Bronston Jones, everyone.
Hey,
Come on
everybody.
in.
Hey, it's
Yes.
me. It's Bronston Jones.
And he is also what did you say?
I'm the resident host of
Resident
Venice
host.
Underground Comedy every Wednesday night at Townhouse.
See,
in Venice.
I know he does Venice Underground Comedy, but he said resident host. He just told me that, and I was like, resident host, and then I
Well,
forgot.
I don't want to say, I run it, but because I run it with Matt Devlin, but
Right.
I tend to host like 95% of them if I'm in
Could
the
we
room.
say co-host just for fun?
Yeah, we could say co-host.
We could,
I just like saying resident host.
Does that sound better?
It makes me feel like, he's always
because
there.
you're like house host.
Yeah,
Yeah.
house host.
All right, cool.
I love it. It's a fun show.
Yeah, it's really popular. They get like 150 people every single time they do the show or more, and people are lined up out the kazoo.
And we get the best comics. Like I had a welcome home because I was in New York for a month, and it's like Brian Callen is my favorite.
Oh, I love
comic
Brian.
to watch. He blows me away, and he does almost all my special events. And
Does he?
But that's the level that
Yeah.
we're getting. Is guys like that.
I love Brian. I worked with Brian on What About Schwartz? What? Does anybody even know what that is?
What about
It was
Schwartz?
I think that's what it called. Breckenmeyer, Brian Callen, and I forgot who else. Those are the only two that I worked with. But Brian was awesome, and we
Yeah.
became friends. We've been friends ever since, and that was all the way back in like 2000.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've watched him just evolve into this superstar comedian since then.
And our girl
So-
Kate, she's doing it on Wednesday, on Valentine's Day.
Speaking of Kate Quigley, ooh, Kate Quigley.
That's how we met.
Yep.
Kate's how we met.
Yep. Kate is amazing, and she's doing it. She's doing Valentine's Day.
Yeah, she's doing my Valentine's Day
Oh
show.
my God,
Because
that would
she
be
lived in
awesome.
Venice for a long time too, so she's
Yeah.
excited to be back there.
Yeah,
I love that girl.
I love that girl too. She's my girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about this a little bit.
This
This book. Okay, so by the way, you gave me you what was it, like 8:00 last night when you told me about this, around like 8 p.m.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because I hadn't gone out. I hadn't left the house yet.
Right. So I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And sometimes I do like articles that are pretty easy. You just read through an article and you talk about it.
Oh, did you read this whole book last night? Is that why you're up all night?
No, no, I was not that responsible. There might have been tequila involved.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And but I did peruse it.
Okay.
Excellent use of peruse.
That was very good.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So what
Did you get the cliff notes? So it's a brief history of humankind.
I was, yeah, yes, yes, I got, it's a, that was funny.
That's what I can't believe people pay me to do that.
That was really good. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Here's what what I liked about this. I liked a lot about this book, but the thing is, it's more of it's this guy's opinion
Yeah.
on the history of humankind. And if you're looking at it like, well, that's not true, or you're going to
hmm
be that person, then you're going to get frustrated. Or if you're
Well,
looking like this is some like factual historical, which it
well,
kind of is. Yeah.
I'll give them just a brief rundown. It
Yeah.
takes us all the way to this point in time, all the way from when we basically evolved from being we were one of the Homo groups. There was Homo
Yeah.
erectus, Homo Neanderthals, et cetera, et cetera. And Homo sapiens is the only one that's still going, but they were all kind of walking the earth at the same time. And so he says in the beginning of the book, he goes, a lot of this is theory because we don't have written records. We're just looking through the anthropologists are looking through old sites, going, okay, well, what's around this fire pit, and then they can kind of figure out what was happening. And so, yeah, a lot of it's conjecture, but so some people are like, oh, it's all bullshit, but a lot of he's taking everybody's sort of opinion in to figure out how it goes, and it's
Right.
fascinating. Every single page, if you're listening and you like to read, every page
It's a
there's
good
something that
read.
makes you go, holy shit.
Yeah, look, I got through like the first, 45 pages. Not, and I don't mean get through, like it was fascinating.
Yeah,
It was great. And then I had to kind of skim through and kind of make some
I
notes as
can't
it
believe you even did that much.
really.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to look, you gave me this really cool book and I didn't want to look like a dumbass.
Well,
And I was like,
I'll actually lend you the book if you want to read it. Read it.
thanks.
But
Thanks. Well, I have it now.
you,
I have it in my
you
Kindle.
actually.
So yeah.
God damn, this is a professional
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, I don't fuck around. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's a
But
shame.
can I will say this, I'm still laughing at the term Homo erectus. Makes me
You will
laugh.
giggle all the way through the book.
Can we tell everybody what Homo sapien means? Because maybe not everybody does, and I
Yeah.
kind of just found out too. It means wise man. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. And it's the sapien part that means wise, and Homo means man.
Yeah,
So
sapient means to think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I did not know that. I learned something new. So all you Homo sapiens out there,
Yeah.
and Homo sapiens basically won over the human race, beat
Yeah.
out like the Neanderthals and all of that stuff. And
They're the only ones that survive.
yeah, they're the ones that
They're the
survived.
last ones left.
Yeah, but
And we won't be here very long either. And it gets into that at the very end. It's like, how long are we going to last? What takes
yes,
over?
and here's another thing that I found really kind of cool and enlightening is he does this whole thing throughout the book, and he uses she
Mhm.
as the pronoun throughout the book instead of like the male pronoun, which I thought was kind of cool. Did
Yeah.
you
I like that you
get-
didn't even want to say the word he. You're like, ugh,
No,
Like
I love
Ugh.
these.
hurts my ears.
No.
The male pronoun.
I love Homo erectuses. Come on.
They were all men. They were all man. You know what I mean?
But I also really loved he goes through a lot of different things, but I will say this for all of my friends out there, like myself, who are very much animal rights. I love that he keeps touching on the fact that animals have paid this terrible price
Yep.
for the rise of sapiens, for you know what I mean? And they back in the day it was hunter and gatherer where the supply and demand was not as great.
Mhm.
And now, you know, because there's, and now because there's like all of the supply and demand with all the farm factories, because of how many of us there are, the animals are really suffering. And he really makes a big point to talk about this, which
He-
I think is cool.
He gets a really interesting point, which is when humans started leaving, Africa and started spreading around the world, is that there's these huge animals, like there were these massive sloth, like 200-pound or 2-ton sloth, like these massive, like the size of elephant sloths,
Ooh.
and all kinds of other large
Wow.
mammals. And when they got to Australia, within 200, 300 years, or maybe it's 1,000 years, something like that, is all of those animals were extinct. And people are like, well, maybe that was this ice age, or maybe that was this or that. And they're like, well, when they got to 10,000 years later, when they got to New Zealand, all of those animals were still there, and then they went extinct 1,000 years later. And how can you the weather couldn't have done it 10,000 years apart? There's only one
Right.
thing that moved, and you start thinking there's so few giant land mammals left.
Wow.
We've got elephants and, bears, but there's really not a whole lot that's bigger than us.
No. Yeah. No, there's not.
Yeah.
But the sloth, I'm still like, I'm having this imaginary thing in my head of seeing this giant sloth.
I was just in New York.
How freaking cool would that be?
I was in New York at the Natural History Museum, which I've never gone to before. I was just like, I gotta go see this.
When
'Cause
you were
see it
there
in a million-
last couple weeks ago.
It's in movies all the time. There's
Yeah.
always like, you see all those dioramas with the
Yeah.
big animals, and they had recreated giant sloths. And I just, because I'd read the book, I was just looking, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I bet it's delicious.
I bet it's delicious. Aw, I just want to cuddle with it.
It's huge.
I know.
It'll be so slow. It'll just cuddle you slowly.
Oh
like,
my gosh. I want to go to
uh,
Costa Rica and they have like do you think I don't know. They have a bunch of different places where you can do that, but I feel bad for them here, when
yeah.
they have people come in because it's like they're miserable. They don't need to be here. They need to be in their habitat.
They need to be in their habitat,
You
and
know
they need
what
to
I'm
be wild.
saying? They do.
They don't need to be like. If your listeners want to take pictures with sleeping lions in Thailand, don't do it.
Yeah.
Sleeping tigers. It's like, I know a lot of people have
They're
done it, but they're
tranquilized
tranquilized,
anyway.
they're drugged. It's not.
Yeah.
So
It's
there's a lot of
they're
things you
not
shouldn't do.
sleeping.
I
Yeah.
don't go to like giant like seaquariums, like
Yeah.
like
SeaWorld.
SeaWorld. Anything with like a dolphin or an animal that should swim hundreds of miles a day and they're in the tank. I just stopped doing that in the 80s or 90s. I had a girlfriend who turned me into an empathetic, good human being.
Oh, good for
Yeah.
her. We like her.
Yeah.
Yay, ex-girlfriend.
She's the best.
That's awesome.
She's the only one whose real name I use. We were together 14 and a half years.
What's her name?
Kristen.
Kristen, you rock.
And like on stage, she's the only person whose real name is there because she made me a better person. And
Aw.
I have nothing really bad to ever. I mean, I could, but why?
No.
Those
Yeah.
were temporary fights anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
She moved. This is how good she is. The reason we broke up, she moved to Africa to save the planet. Like
Oh.
literally, like after 9/11, went and got her master's degree in international relations and sustainable development. So she moved to Africa to save the planet, and I
So
wanted
she's
to
like
stay
a
here
big
and tell big jokes.
underachiever. Yeah. And you wanted to stay here and tell
Our
jokes.
live paths diverse, and actually, we still talk. Like,
Yeah.
she's a great human being.
No, it
My
sounds
best
like
friend
she
I'll ever
is.
make.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool. I have people in my life like that too. They
Mhm.
come into your life for a reason. It doesn't work out on the romantic side, but
Yeah.
they're going to be there forever. And
Yeah.
it's pretty freaking cool. Those are like,
So shout out to her
Yeah.
for making me a good person.
yay, Kristen. We love you.
Can I
Yeah.
tell you? I think because we were talking about stuff earlier,
Yeah.
like when I first got here, and you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't have everything here.
Yeah.
Is one of the most fascinating things I saw in there is when you read a lot of science. Science says that evolution has no purpose other than just creating another one. You know what I mean? Like human beings, the biology of us only doesn't give a shit what we think about. They just care that we make another one. They're just trying to reproduce the DNA. And a very fascinating way he looks at things in here is he goes, when we went from hunter gatherers, we learned how to sort of grow crops, and then we started growing wheat, and wheat was the big
The
one.
agriculture
Yeah.
part of it all. Yeah.
And once we got into agriculture, he goes, did we domesticate agriculture? Did we domesticate wheat, or did wheat domesticate us? Because we used to move around, and we used to be mobile humans. We were always running around like we would follow the seasons to different places. And then what happened is we had to start staying in one place to grow the crop and raise it. And then we actually became more vulnerable because if you have a bad couple years, is you have no crops, everybody starves. But you also, because you're staying in one place, is you start building little huts and little houses. And then you're afraid people are going to come in and steal stuff from you. Whereas before you didn't have stuff.
Right.
And you were afraid they'd come in and steal your crops. And so then walls started going up, and how basically, because we started growing wheat, we started collecting stuff, and there would be bands and tribes that would fight each other, but usually they would just disappear. But now you can't move. Now you are stuck where you are. And so people come in and invade you.
So we
and-
can blame all of this on the wheat?
Yeah, basically it gets
Oh
down
my
to the wheat,
God.
because wheat was basically just going, oh, well, we helped manipulate the DNA of it, but now the DNA of it is keeping us where we are as opposed to
Yeah.
us moving where
That
we
is
should
fascinating. And the people that, are gluten intolerant probably
go. Yeah, they're like,
feel
fuck
they,
wheat.
They feel they
I'm a
feel
hunter-gatherer.
vindicated. They're like, yeah, maybe a little bit just
Yeah.
that this is coming out now.
They should go on that caveman diet or whatever the hell that thing's called.
What's the caveman?
Well,
diet?
what's the diet where everybody eats like
Oh, paleo, the
Paleo,
paleo
yeah, yeah.
diet. Yeah.
so people, like gluten free people are like fuck wheat. Fuck wheat. I'm gonna go out in the woods and kill some shit.
That's right.
But it's because of that whole thing with stuff. Because like in the last couple of years, I was saying I got rid of all my stuff. I have so little shit.
Yeah.
Just because I have a place here, I have a place in New York, and I go to
Yeah.
Scotland every summer, and like I I've sort of untethered from having
A lot of stuff.
stuff, and it's like the more shit you have, the more you need to protect it and pay for it. But one of the best things I ever did in my life is one day when I used to work in commercials,
Hmm.
is I wanted a Porsche 911 since I was a little kid,
A
right?
Carrera Turbo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Black.
or a convertible, right? It's well,
Yeah.
my uncle John,
Cabriolet.
he had a red turbo, right? The
Yeah.
fan on the back,
Yeah.
and I just thought he was the coolest dude in the world when I was a little kid. And I always wanted the 911, and so we had this commercial that my production company that I ran with my brother. We did it, and we had to rent this Ferrari, like this sweet 356 or whatever it was, this red ridiculous Ferrari, but nobody was allowed to drive it, but me, my brother, and transportation department. And so at the end of the shoot, he goes, Rob, he's like, my brother Rob says, Bron, just take it home, drive it around for the night. We got to return it to Beverly Hills Rent a Car tomorrow. And I'm like, all right. So I went driving this car like an idiot all night long.
How
Like
old were you?
I was 30. It
Okay,
was,
so it's not like you were like
it was
a
8 years. It was 2008. So I
okay.
was 39.
Okay.
And this is because that's the year of my other car that I got. So next thing you know is I had that sports that sports car mentality. I wanted this car, and I went to the Porsche dealership because I returned that Ferrari, and I'm
Of
like,
course.
fuck this, I want the fast car. I finally am making the money, I can buy it, and I went in, I test drove the cars, I picked out the one I wanted, which is actually a gray convertible. The funniest thing is if you're trying to buy a Porsche and you tell them that you're in a Ferrari the day before, they're like, oh, that's such an irresponsible car. You could drive this to work.
That's
every
like
day.
Mercedes and BMW.
Yeah.
They do the same things. Yeah.
They were trying
I
they were
see,
trying
I
to sell me
see.
the Porsche like it was a family car.
Right.
Like,
Right.
the guy's like saying, "Oh, you can put your golf clubs in the back." I'm like, "I don't golf."
You're like,
Like,
you're like, do I look like I golf?
yeah. And so, well, I didn't quite have this fucking homeless look that I'm rocking right now.
He's rocking a good homeless look right now.
But so anyway, long story short, he's convinced me I should buy this convertible gray one. It was a year older, so it was like the last year's model, so it was cheaper.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, it's only 96 grand, fucking
It's
reasonable.
only 96 grand.
And we work out how much it would cost me per month to have it, and it was like 1,500, and I like with insurance and everything. And at that point in life, I was like, I don't care, I could do this. But then that night, I thought to myself, I don't like what I'm doing. I was working in advertising and stuff, and I didn't enjoy it. And I was like, wait, you're telling me I got to make this money? I got to keep doing this job so I can have this car that I can't even really drive the way it's supposed to be driven because
Right.
we're in LA.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't care about it that much. I don't care about it enough to keep doing this job to keep it.
Right.
And I went out that day and I bought the 2008 Prius and I will drive that car till the wheels
Oh
fall
my
off. I
God.
still have that car.
Yeah.
And it's LA. I
I
can't
had a
out car
Prius
people.
forever. I had
They're
a
the
Prius
best.
since 2008,
Yeah.
and I just got rid of. I just got a different car. But
So the point of that is breaking golden handcuffs. And
yeah,
that's
breaking the chains.
so fuck wheat.
Fuck wheat. Fuck
Let's just
Porsche.
call this episode "Fuck Wheat."
Fuck wheat. It is. That is now the name of the podcast, and that's what it absolutely will be. See, with all of this stuff, it's funny because everything here is very much, which I love about it. It's all about humankind. It's all about where we are as humans, how we have evolved, and it talks about. I mean, it talks about all kinds of things like our money system. It talks
Mhm.
about capitalism. It talks about all these things, how we've come into this place of where we are right now, and some of the things that they talk about, some of the things that he talks about, I made a couple of these notes. I might have texted you a few yesterday, but it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense, but I understand it. Like
Okay.
I look at it, I mean, it makes sense from a human brain.
Okay.
It does not make sense from an expanded version of that. Does that make sense?
Like what? Which in particular?
Well, let me try to find it. I'm trying to read and talk at the same time, so there's not like dead air here.
Is it about money? How money doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Like money is just it's a faith. It's a trust between people that something exists. That
Well,
doesn't
basically,
exist.
yeah, and I can't. Maybe I'm on the wrong notes page, but basically that everything is in our imagination.
Yeah.
Like that money is in our imagination. That all of these things are created. It was created as a means to it's almost what was it? It was bringing
Well,
people together, basically, or making dividing things or something. I don't know.
what
Help me out.
what it was is like it's the history of money, it's the idea that in the beginning it used to be everybody worked actually sort of in a communal way, like the whole tribe or whoever's in this village, they all work together.
Yeah.
And then eventually they realized, oh, we need something from this other village, and so you literally go, well, this much wheat will get me this bear rug, or like skin or something.
Right.
And then they realized as the economy started growing and people got bigger that you're like, well, I don't need any more wheat. I've got all the wheat
Fuck wheat.
I can, yeah, fuck wheat. Or, it's like, yeah, how many coconuts does this guy need? But he needs something else. And then you realize instead of exchanging the actual products, instead of bartering, is you could exchange like a shell that was worth this much labor from
Right.
this guy, this many pounds of whatever, and this much milk. And then basically so it's the concept that this thing that I'm holding is worth something to everybody.
Yeah.
And then as it got bigger and bigger, as they got into like gold coins that were stamped with the Roman
Yes.
or whatever he was,
Yes. Yeah.
Caesar.
Whatever it was.
Caesar is like, his face, and then that became valuable to everybody. Like gold itself, if you think about it, it's not worth anything. It's actually
Well,
it's got some great properties
but
as a
it's
metal,
all
but it's not.
energy. It's
Yeah,
all energy. Like for me, money represents energy. Like
yeah.
where is that energy coming? And I'm kind of kicking myself because I had all of these great pieces that I was pulling from things that I was
Should I
reading,
just
and I didn't copy paste it onto this thing so I could see it, and it's in my head. But
sing and you can look for it?
yeah, yeah,
Please,
just start
please hold.
singing.
Your podcast is very important to me.
It says here, it says money is the most universal and most efficient system of mutual trust ever devised. Maybe that was
Yeah,
one of it. And the best part, it all lives in the imagination of Sapiens. It is thanks to the system of trust society was able to cooperate in newer ways and develop. Did that make any sense? It is thanks to this system of trust that society was able to cooperate in newer ways and develop. Money is the only system developed by humans that can bridge cultural gaps and does not discriminate. That's what that was. That's
yeah.
what I was looking for. So I didn't type it completely properly, but that's okay.
Well,
Um,
that's the trust that's why when countries are collapsing, their money collapses because there's no more faith in that government that the government will support whatever the debt
there's
is that you're
some
owed.
yeah.
That's why when I was watching Bitcoin explode, I was
Yeah.
like, this is so stupid because there's nothing behind it right now. There's no like literally the fact that there is no central government that you're actually looking at that goes, yeah, the United States, we may not have gold under our currency, but we have this massive military that will go take what we need. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's weird, but like I was working on a bit a long time ago that the money doesn't exist. It's just this idea. And once you actually accept that, you stop chasing money and you start chasing what do I want? What was I going to buy with that money? Let me just try and get that thing.
Well, absolutely. But again, I'm going to go back to this,
Oh,
which is, you're
yeah.
I'm totally with you, but money is energy.
Yeah.
And there's, see, I go into, as
I
everybody
think love is
knows,
energy.
love is energy. Love is energy. Love is energy. Everything is energy,
Hmm.
but money for sure. And and
Well, then I'm very low energy right now because I got
but
nothing.
that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
So think about it. Like when oh God, like even like okay, so when you're thinking of money, a lot of people have a lot of stress around it. Not you
Hmm.
specifically, but people out there, whatever.
Yeah.
And you start to think about money and you start to go into this thing, or you get a bill, right? You start to like write the bills out. You're like, this motherfucker, I can't believe, oh my
Yeah.
God, the electric bill is crazy. They're crooks. Roar.
Yeah.
And the energy is like here, and you're like, "Rah," and you send it off, and that energy goes out there. And there's all of this that you're like creating all this stuff because there's this fear behind it because you're like, don't take my money.
Yeah,
Like,
but
because,
that's negative energy.
right.
Who wants that?
How many people I know more people that have stresses about money and that have like situations about money or that are just cheap AF. You know what I mean?
Well,
Because they're like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy the, discount generic brand cereal that just says cereal.
yeah, but some
Do
things
you know?
some things you should buy generic. A lot of stuff. Like if it tastes bad, then you don't want that.
But,
The
but
two things you never
yeah.
save money on: tattoos and toilet paper. Go ahead.
Oh, that's really true. That's true.
Uh,
Yeah. And tequila.
yeah, tequila.
Mm.
But you know what I mean? Like, have you ever had some?
Tattoos and toilet paper is funny.
It's a stupid bit. It came because, especially in New York. In New York, I don't know what the deal is. Everything's one ply paper. I'm like, come on, guys, let's kick this. I think it's because the plumbing is also old. Shit, you were talking about something earlier, and I really wanted to.
The money, the energy.
Oh, you were talking about bills stressing you out.
Yes.
This is one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard, and it was
What?
just some homeless guy who was like telling jokes.
Oh,
for
a
money,
homeless guy told you
on the
advice
Venice
about
boardwalk.
money?
Well, it's on the Venice boardwalk.
Can't wait to
so
hear.
he goes, I wish I knew who the guy was because I love getting credit for a great joke.
Right.
He goes, hey man, is that bill stressing you out? You can't pay it? Don't worry, they'll send you another one next month. And you just go, that's right. They will send me another one next month. Who gives a shit?
Don't worry. That's funny.
So
yeah, that's funny.
I see. That's the thing is I think people get stressed, but it's also like I think you need a minimal amount of money in order to live. You know what I mean? Like a sustainable amount. But think about this: is in your life you've met some very very wealthy people, some very very poor people, and I bet you some of the wealthiest are some of the most miserable fuckers that you've ever met in your life because they're so busy trying to keep it or hold it or manipulate people to get more of it, and that so money doesn't buy happiness. Obviously, you want to survive.
See, and that's the thing. The people that I know that are incredibly wealthy are some of the happiest people that I know. And then I
But are they happy
also
because they're wealthy, or did they get wealthy because they were chasing after something that they love?
well, I'm not gonna let's not use the word chasing in a sense. Let's say going for, because chasing just sounds kind of negative, right?
Well,
Like,
some people chase money. Like how many people have you
oh
met with like, oh, I'm just trying to make the
no,
dollar,
they just did
dollar
that.
bills.
Their careers
Yeah.
flourished, and they're doing what they
Yeah.
love, which is why they're happy.
And I bet if
And
they could sustain
yeah,
their life, I bet if they lost the yachts and lost the mansions, but they could keep doing the work, that they'd be happy. They'd be just fine with it.
well, and yeah, but you know what else they get to do with that bankroll is they help other
Yeah.
people like significantly in this world. You know, like millions of dollars go to different things and stuff, which is,
Yes.
I mean, if you're gonna have money and you can do that, that where you're like, I'm just gonna give this back. Oh,
But
how great!
you do know that that's not all of them, right?
No, of course, of
Like
course.
in my head, I go, yeah, I know that one guy.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
think about the Harvey Weinsteins of the world,
right.
and the other people that they're not miserable in their own life, and all of that shit he was doing is
It doesn't have to
based
do with
on
the money
misery.
though. And
No, but he's rich
yeah,
as shit, so it doesn't
yeah,
make him happy, and it
yeah.
doesn't make him content. He's still chasing after this other
Well,
crap.
that's an interesting thing too, because if you think about it, which he kind of taps into, and I don't know that I wrote anything about this, but money equals power in our society, in
Mhm.
humankind, right? The more money you have, the more power you have. Back in the day, I think, the fatter you were, the more powerful you were. And,
Well,
do you know what I mean?
being large was a sign that
That,
you had wealth because you could
yeah,
afford to overeat.
right. Yes, because, yeah, isn't that weird? And
Yeah.
now it's like,
And now it's
no.
the poorer people because we're giving them shit for cheap.
Yeah. And
Um,
I would never
I
want to be
I also
that.
think about this as just think how much money everybody spends every year on just like the
Whoa.
shittiest food, and then like gyms, like Planet Fitness is everywhere, and
Yeah.
you're like, we wouldn't have to like we've made a society where we don't have to do anything anymore, and so now we're
Because we're all
big.
super
So
lazy.
no, but it's also like we're sitting at desks, we're just doing all this like bullshit. And so it's like back in the day, they used to till the soil. They used to have to go run after lions or run from lions and run after zebra.
Right.
And now we're just like sitting around going, okay, well, I can make my food by just sitting around doing,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
I can Postmates it. I need to put up a shelf. I'm going to task grab at that. I need to go somewhere. I'm going to call an Uber.
yeah.
Whatever it is, like you can do anything. You can sit, you can binge watch TV shows. You can
Like,
say, turn on your radio just by saying
mhm,
AELEXA. I don't want her to turn on. That's why
yeah.
I said that.
Shut up, whore. Uh, yeah,
But it's this like this evolution, right? But where we came from, and that's another thing. He says also that back in the day, like 70,000 years ago, back in the day,
back in the epoch.
yes, yes, they were saying that the hunters and gatherers are happier than we are now.
Yeah,
And I mean, I guess I could see that. And happier meaning simple, but you know what? I'm super happy that, I don't have to go hunt and gather or kill a bear today. You know what I mean? To go
yeah,
and eat. But it was simpler, and that I can take showers every day, and I have
yeah.
running water, and I can turn on a light, and I have medicine, and I can drive someplace. it all
Yeah.
starts to expand, but where does it stop? And I think that's where he was going at the end of this, which I saw, which was fascinating. It's like, how much more are we going to quote unquote evolve? And I say that sarcastically to this place. What are we going to do to ourselves? It's just like out of control.
Well, it's like, if you listen to people, they talk about how most of the labor is going to be taken over by machines.
Yeah.
Like anything physical will be taken over by
We're on our
machines.
phones all the time
A,
right
a
now.
lot of it's like self-driving cars. You know what I mean? Like they're taking the human out of everything that we need it to do. And then at what point do we just sit around just feeling useless? Like we're just like, well, why am I even here if I don't have to do a single thing?
Right.
And
But what is that? Yes.
but
And
people aren't going to sit around and read books. Like they're not going to sit around and write
I feel,
poems.
do you know what? I feel like history always repeats itself, and I think the book is coming back. I really
I love
do.
them.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it is, and not, everybody gets all their information off of social media. Everybody gets,
Hmm.
the news feed off of Twitter for the most part. And there's some articles and amazing stuff there. I mean, I can
Yeah.
definitely go through there and look at it. But when it comes to like reading actual books and things like that,
Mm.
now some people would say self-help books do not classify as real books. But
They're on paper.
I
They're
mean,
bound.
yeah, they're bound. They're next to the cookbooks. I don't know. No, but
Some of them are good, but most of them are just
but
regurgitating the same stuff. And
it
if you
is.
don't apply it, what's the point?
Well, yes, and that's a great point. It's something I've done my entire life is known a lot of these books and never
Yeah. Oh,
applied it until I
I,
went, "Oh, what am I doing?"
I've read a bunch and I can quote them all, but I'm like, do I actually do any of that stuff?
Yeah,
No, that's why I bought another book.
right, and so we buy
Yeah.
another one, and then, yeah, it keeps going, but now, I'm, like, on this path where like, today, you said something, and I was like, "Ooh, my new thing is not making people responsible for my feelings," and I was like, "That's my new thing," and I'm really new to this one, you know?
I will tell you that that's one of the, it's hard to do, but when you actually start going, nobody can make me angry except myself. They can do things that are wrong. They can do things that are frustrating. They can do things that affect my life, but they shouldn't be allowed to affect my emotions about
Right,
my feelings toward life. Like when somebody makes you angry, you made yourself angry. You gave them the power over you,
right.
which is hard to do. But like when you start letting go, like when people cut me off in traffic, I got to tell you, half the time if I go, that was a good move. Like I literally just,
Yeah,
because I do that. I'm an asshole driver, and so when
yeah.
somebody does it to me, I'm like, you timed that out perfectly, dude. That
That's
was great.
great. That's great, and I think but, as a for me, that's been
Yeah,
a tougher thing for me. I've been so sensitive because I've always looked to other people. It's almost like looking to other people to,
yeah,
like, make me feel better because I didn't have that in myself, right?
yeah.
But something's happening, and I'm starting to just, like, learn myself again, which is
You're
really
becoming the
cool.
unicorn.
I am. I love that.
Yeah,
We both have a thing for unicorns. You have one around your neck, which is cool,
yeah. Basically,
and I have a million in my place.
it all came down to there was this one girl that kept popping in and out of my life, and she'd come in and everything was amazing. Then she'd just disappear, and come in, amazing, disappear. And finally, I was like, What are you doing?" She's like, She, it's basically she said, "Well, every time I see you, I have a boyfriend, but next thing you know, I'm hanging out with you, and it's the best thing in the world. And I feel shitty the next day, and so I don't want to see you because I don't want to feel shitty. And I'm like, so you're cheating on what's happening?"
Yeah, yeah.
She goes, I got to tell you this that you're the only person I've ever actually cheated on any of my boyfriends with,
Like, emotionally, or
and
you guys hooked
and
up? Oh,
both.
you okay.
And I went like this. I go, well, let me ask you this: Are you cheating on them with me, or are you cheating on me with them?
Wow.
But 'cause
Yeah.
sometimes comics are great at just flipping something.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I started calling it a unicorn because I'm like, you're like this magical creature that just comes out of the woods, and you're like the magical forest, and you're the most cute, beautiful, amazing thing. And so then once I called her that, every time I saw a unicorn, I loved it. And here's the best part: I did not know this is every summer I could do the Edinburgh Festival in Scotland, and Scotland's national animal is the unicorn.
God.
So they're everywhere there. So I was sending her pictures of everything. She's married now and has a good life, so I don't
And there's just
send her anymore.
unicorns everywhere?
There's literally there'll be a
Wow.
statue, and on the top of the statue there's a unicorn, like the official
That's
seal
amazing. I
has
wanna go there
unicorns.
just because of that.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I was there like 2 years before I saw that, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is the greatest."
do you yeah, can I and I just thought about something as you were saying that, and it's this growth, right? It's
Mhm.
this growth. Well, so in the book, in A Brief History of Mankind, I just want to keep going back to that. There is something kind of cool. And does he talk about this? Or maybe it's not. But okay, so he there was like this growth,
Yeah.
how we're all growing, but kind of at the same time, there's all of these restrictions, um, and it's all based on the way that we're thinking. Are you following me on this? Like
Mhm.
the way that we're thinking is creating all of this mess, but not in like the spiritual sense, more in like a human brain kind of thing. And unicorns to me represents just everything awesome, and they're badass, and
Mhm.
they're beautiful, but don't mess with them because they have that horn for a reason. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I love them. And there was
Yeah, you
this
don't let them go down and they'll stab you in the heart.
okay. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. That would be awful. But they say there was a saying, and it says nobody grows old. When people stop growing, they become old. And it just reminded me of that. And I was reading this last night, and I wrote down the quote because I was thinking about it when I was reading the end of this book, to pieces of the end of the book. And it
Mhm.
says, nobody grows old. When people stop growing, they become old. And it kind of wrapped up the other side of like more of a metaphysical kind of interpretation of the book
Mhm.
with that, because that's what we're here for. We're here to keep expanding.
Yeah.
And what we've seen in the history of humankind is this massive expansion. It's very easy for people to go in and be very uh pragmatic about the way that it is, and just be think from that place. But we're evolving to such a place, just in the capacity of knowing that we are humans, but we are also non-physical at the same time. There are
Yeah.
two things. That is something that we were not aware of, and that the hunters and gatherers, I don't think, maybe they were, maybe they knew something,
I don't think they were
but
thinking about it. Like,
right.
if it, you know,
But as we start to get guilt, greed, shame,
yeah.
and they were the first of, so they didn't have this running DNA. They didn't have this family history. They didn't have these things that, oh, your dad was an asshole or
Mhm.
whatever. They didn't have these stories, but it started to build. As that started to build, then fuck wheat came along, then
Yeah.
all this other stuff happened.
Fuck wait.
and and it just started to grow. And now I wouldn't say we're out of control. I think that the burst of creativity, all of this is about creativity. And sure, there's a lot of greed in there too,
Mhm.
just in our current state of affairs where we are today. But the opportunity, I swear I believe it with all my heart, just like I believe in unicorns. Shit is gonna get good. Like, it's gonna get good. I think people are evolving and expanding to a place where it can't not. Because it
Well, it could get good or it could get so bad that it's over. I want it to get good.
yeah.
And I think the way it is that especially like if you like when I traveled around Thailand and stuff is I met a lot of people who
Mm,
literally are subsistence living
I love
and
Thailand.
and they were focused on what they need to do to sustain life, you know? And I got to tell you is they weren't bitching about the cable guy being late. You know what I mean? Like all the stuff that we call it,
Right, because they don't have cable.
the white people problems or the
Yeah.
Western, first world problems, is that's the stuff that makes us depressed. But I think a lot of us that we also don't feel like we have a use, and that's why I'm like really afraid
That's a good point.
if everybody has everything done for them, they're just going to sit around and kind of go, well, what do I do other than sit in my head and not do anything? And so I came up with a solution because I was getting in ruts, and I came up with this expression: instead of live every day like it's your last, live every day like it's your first. The
Right.
first day a baby comes into the world, they see something new.
Oh,
Everything is
yeah.
new. And if you
Everything.
think about like somebody growing up to 5 years old, is every single day they'll see something that they've never seen and they acknowledge they've never seen it. And they
And the
actually,
excitement that's
yeah, and they're like,
there.
what's that? How does that work? And, Dad, what is this? Or mom, what's this?
I
Why
love
is the
that.
sky blue? And all those things. And as adults, we lose that sense of wonder and curiosity. Like every single day, you still see something you've never seen before. And there's so much to learn. And you can't keep it all in your head, but you can, if you're always
Right.
experimenting and always exploring.
Well, and I bet that's how, like, if we go back to like the hunters and gatherers, and we go back to all of that, can you imagine as they're exploring the land and they're
Yeah.
looking at new things, they taste coffee for the first time. Fire was a huge thing. That's actually in the book he talks
Yeah.
about fire being one of the things that made our brains bigger. I think
Yeah.
actually because and we have these giant brains.
It also freed up time because
We
if
could, yeah,
it's food that you cook, you can get way more nutrients out of it
yes,
than
and kill the bacteria and all of
eating.
that.
And I'm not saying a raw diet is not filled with nutrients, but you're knowing how to do it with science now. Whereas
Yeah,
back in them, they're just kind of, they spent 8 to 10 hours a day looking for food, and then once they were able
and that was
to,
their job.
yeah,
They were paid with food.
and once we were cooking stuff, is our body was able to get more nourishment, meaning we could spend less time gathering, and
Yeah,
that's what sort of made our brains grow bigger than chimpanzees, etc. Because we were processing food, we were getting more nutrients.
uh-huh.
So we weren't we already had fire before we were Homo sapiens.
So who made the fire? Was that Neanderthals
Well,
didn't do
or it was the
fires.
early part, but basically we've evolved
Yeah, yes,
quite a bit.
and all of that happened, and our
Yeah.
brains are way bigger than they should be, and this is another part, which I think everybody knows, I mean, people know that, we only use a certain percentage of our brain, and, from the human perspective of it all, I believe, and this was my thought last night, I believe that the reason that we only use a little piece of our brain is because the rest of it is all tapped into the energy of like God, non-physical, universal, stuff like that. And that's why we can't access it because we've never been taught. This is only I just came
Well,
up with this idea last night. And
have you seen?
isn't it a cool, fun
It's
idea?
a good one.
Yeah.
Have you seen like they actually have CAT scans, which I can't even imagine is of people on acid, and they show them before
Acid
the
is amazing for
yeah
those kinds of things. Yeah.
they show the brain activity when you're not on acid, and then they put the same person in on acid, and they're showing how so many parts of the brain are lit up that are not normally lit up
Yeah,
with the
because
same stimulation. But then I go,
yeah.
how? Dude, I cannot imagine being on acid and then you're putting me in the fucking into a CAT scan. I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Get me out of here!
Yeah, what the
This
hell?
thing is eating me. It's eating me." Like, what a horrible place to go.
It's terrible. You have a
Sounds
whole oh
terrible.
my god, that would be frightening. Oh my god, that would be terrible.
And then I haven't done DMT, but everybody I've talked to, or a lot of people I've talked to, have a very similar experience.
What is DMT? Is
DMT
it
is
acid-ish?
no, it's a separate. I don't know
Like
what it stands
mescaline type
for.
of thing or something?
No,
Or
it's kind of it's based on a natural chemical that's in the brain, but they enhance it
ooh.
somehow.
Oh
And what
god,
it
yes, I've
does,
heard about this
and
before.
I think people even call it like the God drug. So what happens apparently when
Yes.
you're on it is you start seeing the molecules and you start seeing uh, that everything isn't whole. And actually, the weird thing is I've been reading a lot of books on astrophysics, and
Really?
I'm going through a period in my life where I need to re-educate.
Great.
I've been so
Awesome.
lazy that I need to
Expansion.
start learning. And another there's a great book out there called Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, which is by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it's just a bunch of art, like each chapter separate. But it gets into the thing where is we don't really think about this, but between our protons and neutrons and the electron is nothing. And basically, you are if you crush down all of the empty space
Mhm.
is basically we go back to the Big Bang where everything is like, everything was smaller than the tip of a pin at one point,
Right.
and now it's everything we see. But what it is, it's not even the physical matter that's blocking us. It's the energies around them that are blocking. So
Yeah.
yes, we are balls of energy. We
Yeah.
are, and we're also in your eye is a piece of sun.
Right.
Like we're all stardust. All that's all we are.
That's so true. But it is. I believe
Yeah,
that so much. And when I see things that come from so when I first started looking at this book, I was like, "Oh boy, it's just going to be all about the brain. It's
yeah.
all going to be pragmatic thought." And that's hard for me because I'm like, I like to think of it in different ways. I
Yeah.
like to see both sides, and he wasn't like that at all,
I
which
could
was kind of cool, and I was expecting him to be. So
I
I
could
prejudged.
I couldn't believe it because of actually Owen Benjamin, another comic. We were talking about something else, and he goes, "Brian, have you read *Sapiens* yet?" I'm like, "No." So I give Owen credit for introducing me to this book,
Thanks,
and
Owen.
it's so well written because it could be so boring. It could be the
Yeah.
dullest thing you've ever read, and it's really written to. It's for lack of a better term, I call it high school level because a high school kid can comprehend everything in there,
Yeah.
and also there's mind blowing information where you go, "Oh, I've never thought of that. I can't believe that." And we're just this is people,
Yeah.
and it's stuff about me that I've never thought about that's in here.
Yeah.
It's a cool book.
Yeah, it is. It is a really cool book. I'm looking at notes while you're talking,
That's
but it
okay.
is. It's.
I'm looking at you while you're looking at notes.
I know. I'm like,
I'm
I'm
going,
scrolling
okay.
down.
hmm
I'm
I'm
scrolling
analyzing you.
down.
I'm criticizing you right now.
Yeah. Don't criticize me.
What difference would it make if I
Fuckwheat.
did?
Fuckwheat.
You should know. You should know deep down inside that you're a good human being, and my opinion on you shouldn't affect yours
That's
none at all.
right. Because
See?
that's my new thing. Thanks for
Yeah.
reminding me. Oh my God.
You should
That's
never.
amazing.
The other things people are always concerned what people are thinking about. I love this expression. No idea where it comes from. Is you'd be amazed if you knew how little people think of you. And at first you're like, they think I'm small, and you're like, no,
Right.
they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they do, but I think in general, people do look to other people. People say things, people have belief systems, and that's what I was actually just looking for. I was looking for this thing that I thought
Look at that.
I
We're in
wrote
sync.
again.
We're in sync. The
Yeah.
energy.
How weird.
We're sharing electrons.
Womp, womp, womp. I bet both parts of our brains are actually lit up.
hmm
Did you drop acid in my drink? I'm just curious when you got here.
Yes, that's hashtag me
Oh.
too.
Oh my God.
And then Bron comes over a podcast and he's gonna dose you.
Thanks, Ron.
What a dick.
I know. No, but it's so cool.
It's so enlightening.
There was something that, this is what it was. DDD. Okay, so I was talking about like all the physical realities and all the things and all of this stuff. And as a human being, we are in this physical reality, which is what humankind is, right?
Yeah.
So just follow me here.
Okay.
So
We're in our reality.
Yep.
Which
And
we can
so-
get even further. I don't think this is real. I think we're in a computer simulation, but keep going.
Of course, because we're not even sitting on a couch right now.
We're just ones and zeros. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And numbers, by the way, are the greatest language ever because
Mhm.
it's like where everything started. That's another thing in the book is
Yeah.
numbers are
Math
the
is
first
the only
language.
pure. Math is the only thing that there are no exceptions to the rules.
Yeah.
Once you get past math, math
Yeah.
then goes to physics, then goes to chemistry, then goes to biology, then goes to,
Yeah.
psychology, and
This is such an
everything else.
ADD conversation, by the way.
I like it.
Anyway, back to unicorns. No. So there's like this.
We are all over the map. People are like, I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't know. But okay, so imagine. So like I was saying, so we're humans, we're physical, and then we're also these streams of non-physical, right?
Uh-huh.
But we're just focused on the physical reality, right? So we're focused on this physical reality in this temporary physical form that
Mhm.
we are humans, that we have embodied and all of that stuff. But before something becomes, and the people that are like, don't think in terms of being non-physical. There's a lot of people that are like, we're just human. Like we're just human, where it comes in that pragmatic thing that frustrates me.
Yeah.
So anything that becomes physical, before something becomes physical, it has to be non-physical, right? So
Are you talking about relationships?
even relationships.
I know a lot that went the other way. It started physical and then turned into non-physical.
What was I talking about?
Homo erectus.
Homo erectus, yes.
Homeopathic
erectus, yeah. It says so it's like, so anything that becomes physical, before something becomes physical, it has to be non-physical. That is hilarious, especially relationships. So just like ice is a solid
Mhm.
form of steam, right? And so what would be physical? So
I love that you jumped right past water. I've never thought of it because I'm always like, ice is the solid form of water and steam is the vapor form of water. But I love that you went, ice is a solid form of steam, and my mind actually just went, whoa.
Right though?
You skipped a step, and that fucking was awesome.
Ah, thank you. Thanks. But isn't there, like, when I'm trying to explain to people that it is like, we are all of these things, and where we came from is just this evolution.
Yeah.
Whatever the heck it is, like, we come into wherever we are, and the babies that are being born now are like, dude, they probably don't say dude up there, but they're probably like, there's going to be a lot of expansion. There's going to be a lot of contrast. Let's go like check this out. We're going to come into physical form. And then we become these humans,
Yeah,
right? I don't
okay.
know. It's just like a kind of a stony thought to think about, But I
Did you
guess
dose yourself before I got here? I'm just kidding.
you'd think I did. Sometimes I really sound stoned.
No, I see what you're saying.
So
That's
basically,
if
physical is created when non-physical condenses into solids,
yeah,
right? And so the vibration, scientifically, of non-physical energy condenses solid matter by vibrating into dense matter.
yeah.
And that's all we are. And that's how we became humans. What do you think?
I love that we've gotten to string theory here. I'm like, holy shit.
But isn't it kind of like
Yeah.
this thing, right?
Well, if you got, there's atoms, and then there's the electrons and the protons and neutrons, and those are actually comprised of quarks, and those are comprised of the six strings. And so basically, it's all just energy,
It's
and
all
it's
energy.
it's
Money's
manifested in a
energy, all of
certain way.
it, and where we are and how we think and where the whatever it was that within this evolution, it's fascinating. It's nice to see how did I get here? Like I was talking about, like, I made a joke like, how did I get here? I'm living
Yeah,
in a converted garage, like, but not that.
it's a
But
nice garage.
it goes into this. It
Yeah,
goes into I had some awesome contrast I got to experience that has brought me to this place, and now things are opening up in such a magnificent way. And everything that happens in our lives, no matter what it is based on our thinking and the what we believe in. And I'm kind of obsessed with like where belief systems come from and where they are in our brain,
yeah,
because there is it's kind of like straddling uh like truth, uh, like it's like straddling the, I guess, divine truth and humanity. Divine truth being like the truly spiritual, and humanity being human, right? And we're
yeah,
just constantly straddling, and that is where the healthy part is. We use our brains, we use all of this stuff, we connect again when we go to sleep, we rest, we meditate, we do the things that we
hmm
do to connect. That is for me like the best drug ever. Whenever those, I bet my brain is all lit up whenever I drop in for that moment,
yeah,
and I get better and better at it, but it's really super fun. And it's like this connection.
yeah.
It's really cool. And if we can straddle that, that would be awesome. You know
Well,
what? You're going to make a straddle joke.
no, is when you said it, it connects the truth and humanity. Is earlier
Divine
again.
truth. Yeah.
Again, I get into I'm fascinated with unicorns. Is I'm searching for two things in my life. So I'm searching for truth, and I'm searching for unicorns. And there's a very small section of Venn diagram where those two things match, and that's the most beautiful thing. That's the most beautiful
Yeah.
place, is when something's true and it's also magic.
Well, you know why you're
And
searching for it? Because it's already inside you. And it's like you already, you have it because that's what you want. And it's interesting because searching for something is a longing, but if you want it and you already know and you believe it and you can feel it before it even manifests, something that you can't see, smell, taste, touch, feel, whatever. I already said touch, but whatever. What are they? Feel, touch, say that, or
you're
whatever.
obsessed with touching. What's going on?
But yeah, I know the things that you can't like put into your senses or whatever, and you can actually know that it's here before it comes. It does come,
Yeah,
and those searchings, or longing and searching for it, you're never gonna find it if you think that it's not there. Have you ever been looking for something like a pen
yeah.
and
No, I've never lost anything in my life.
right? This happens to me. It just happened
Yeah,
to me today. I was looking for something in my purse and I couldn't find it. It wasn't there. I swear it was not there. I emptied everything out. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. I kept looking. I come back to it. I went to go get something else.
hmm
I think I was getting like my wallet or something. And there's my keys right there. They were there, but I couldn't find it before
yeah.
because I thought it was lost and I was searching for it. And so think about it
Well,
like that.
you manifested not. It's the thing where they say when you're sliding off the road, don't look at the tree, because if you look at the tree, you'll hit the tree. Is you should look at the open gap, because you'll steer yourself through it. And that's an
I've
actual.
heard that
That's
you like to look at open gaps.
Yeah. I love open gaps,
Yeah.
and I hate trees. Fuck weed. But that's a true statement. Is like, if you're ever in a car crash, don't look at the horrible things. Look at the way out, because then you will literally steer
Oh,
yourself
right.
out. And I think that goes into our psychology of when you think things are going to be bad, is you're gonna perceive it as bad. You're gonna
Yeah.
drive it towards bad. Whereas if you think things are good, you're gonna perceive it as good. Part of part of like what you said earlier with the, how the fuck did I get here or whatever. Is the funny thing is yesterday I was talking to I'm starting a podcast with a guy and we had a meeting and it was going to be called Venice Tales or Venice Stories. It's all about craziness from Venice. And one of the things we were talking about something and he just goes, every now and I go, how the fuck did I get here? And I think that all the time, like how the fuck did I get here? And I realized this a long time ago is no matter everything horrible and everything beautiful that's happened to me in my life is if those things had not happened, everything I wish didn't happen, everything I wish did happen and didn't, right? Is if any of those things happened, I would not be sitting here with you right now.
Right.
We would be some other plane, some other place.
I agree.
And we could be on a beach in Ibiza, but what I'm saying,
Yeah. Oh,
but
hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. Do you know Kate? What a beautiful ocean.
uh, but it's like so. I always say if I'm not in physical pain and I'm not physically hungry or under duress, as I go, everything is fine, and everything that happened before is just okay.
Oh my gosh, I was
Yeah.
talking to somebody the other day about that. It's the exact same thing, and it's, you know, where my career things I got off of this show. I was on this show for the CW. I was a lead on a show. It was amazing. It was so fun, and we got canceled.
Mm.
And then after that happened, things changed a little bit in the industry, and I wasn't getting hired. And I was like, "How am I gonna?" I was just the lead on. I was a title role of this show, and I was like, "God, that's so strange." Like, you know, things were really slow, but you know what it did? It knocked my ass into gear. I started writing. I started stand up. I did a podcast. Started getting my stuff together. Started writing more, and everything in my life. I am so freaking excited for whatever is happening right now. Like,
Well, it's awesome because you're creating it. You're not reliant on anybody else
y-
to oh what's my call
right.
time? What am I doing? You're creating
Well,
everything, and how awesome is that?
it's really wonderful, and the people that are in my life now, yourself included, like, that are coming into my life are these awesome, super cool people that make me think, that help me to expand my own thinking or give me things that I'm like, "Oh, wow, I never saw it that way." New perspectives
Hmm.
and just this wonderful I have this wonderful, group of friends that are so awesome, and I don't know that that would have happened in the last couple of years had I just gone on to the other show or whatever it
Yeah.
was. Like, who knows? I might have been locked in. I wouldn't have been able to expand and evolve into what I think is a much better person than I was a couple of years ago, you
Well,
know?
I'm glad I didn't meet the other person. I like this person a
Yeah,
lot,
thanks. Thanks. Do you know that we've been talking already for an hour?
and we were probably talking for a half hour before that.
Yeah, I know. We should have been recording that too. So, guys,
Well, are they bored? Are you guys bored out there? You
yeah.
done with this? You're like, oh god,
Well,
shut
here's
up, boys.
do you know, it's funny. It's sorry we have been all over the place.
We went all the. I touched on the Big Bang at one point.
Like we
We
barely
went from Big
yeah.
Bang to the computers taking over to that we don't exist.
Yeah,
We've been everywhere on
we
this.
have. And hopefully, you know, I would highly recommend this book.
Yeah, it's great.
I have it on my Kindle. I'm gonna check it out because it has so many great theories. Just I would say for everybody out there, like if you're gonna look at it, don't look at it as this guy's like writing a history book. This is literally the one of the best op-eds I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like it's phenomenal.
I guarantee if you have curiosity at
Right?
all about life, is it will start blowing you away. And
Yeah.
there are. I'm not gonna lie. There are a couple times when I was like, oh, God, this chapter is dragging.
Yep.
Like because it might have been about a subject I don't really care about. But then
Right.
all of a sudden he'll just hit you in the face with something. You go, holy shit!
Right. And
That's
then
why I do that.
and then you put it into terms of what you're learning now
Yeah.
from a different place, and it kind of I don't know, it kind of fills in all these other gaps because I've been so on the lofty side lately of the spirituality and all of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
This kind of got me back into whew, got me
Yeah.
back into my brain, which was kind
It
of
grounded.
cool.
It's making you touch the
Yeah.
earth instead of. Well, a thing about just because we were talking about it, and I don't want to let this go, is that whole thing about looking for other people to give you validation or worth or anger or
Or
negative or positive
yeah.
thoughts
Yeah.
is coming back to when I traveled in Thailand is when I learned about how Buddhism works. And I'm an atheist, right? I don't believe in any of that, but I will tell you the one thing that I liked about them is that you look into yourself instead of looking up for a higher power to explain what's happening. Is if you look into yourself, as you realize that we're all connected. We are actually all energy
Mhm.
without getting all hippy dippy about it, and that your self worth is it's inside of you. It's
Yeah.
your
All of
and
it.
it's hard to do, but every now and then you just gotta stop and go, what? am I doing okay? Okay, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, check
Fuck what
in.
that person thinks. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. I'm not even gonna get mad at them because why throw that shit
Well,
towards them?
but for somebody like myself and
Yeah.
for lots of people out
That was
there
hard.
that has I've never understood that, much less accepted it. I've always said, if anybody ever said to me, you don't have much self-worth," I'd be like, "Yes, I do." Like, I wasn't even aware until I was aware. And then I went, wow, this is of course why I'm feeling these feelings. And of course why these parts of my life have been this way. I
Why
just was never taught in those. I was never
why did
taught.
you never feel good about yourself?
I think it was probably my family stuff. And,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I came from my family was just super rocky, but that's what I got to experience because here's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Now I get to go from the place I am now and share kind of where I am with kids that have run away from home, with kids that have done this. And I get to go talk to these kids and be a support to them based on my story. And hey, it's pretty cool, and
When
go, you're cool. Like, you're going to be fine. Believe
yeah.
in yourself.
When you were telling me about the graffiti balcony,
Yeah.
I was like, that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've already told that story a million times
No,
on, but
no, I
but
haven't.
that's an amazing
Yeah.
like you're a very good mother because you're understanding what not just what they shouldn't do, but you're understanding why they want to do it and then helping them get out of bad
Yeah.
behaviors.
Yeah.
Just weird neighborhood kids.
Yeah. No, we're going to wrap up. But basically, what that was my
I'll
son.
keep this going for 5
I
hours.
know, I know. My son, when we lived in Venice, California, we lived on the beach, had this cool house. And he was going through this time where he was kind of tagging and doing some graffiti stuff and whatever. And I noticed that he was doing this because I'd see stuff like outside and I knew, I go, what are you doing? And all his friends were doing it. So I made the entire top roof of my house, of the house. I got all this plywood and I went and bought the paint and I had all the kids come over and they could do whatever they wanted with this plywood and we'd change it out like every 2 weeks or so or whatever it was. And it was my gift to those kids and they stopped. Maybe they
Well, what was the rule? The rule
the
was if
rule, yeah, and the rule was if they tagged, if I saw anything at all in the neighborhood or anywhere with their names, because I knew what their tags were, if I saw anything, nobody was coming back and it was done. And if there was one can of paint taken, it was done. And if I found out who did it, they were never welcome back. And it was these hard, fast rules. I made food for them. They'd come over and it
yeah.
was really fun. So that's what they're talking about. But it was like, instead of crushing their creativity, I said, you guys are awesome. And the work that they did, the murals that they
Mhm.
made were phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
these were 15, 16-year-old kids and the work that they did was beautiful and I loved it. I'd be like, God, this is beautiful. They had a place to do what they wanted
Yeah.
instead of in tunnels, and stuff like that. So and
It's
or getting arrested.
you
So
you created a small version of the Venice art walls or the
that's
graffiti walls, which is exactly that. Is they were like,
yeah,
if we let these people tag these specific walls on this day, it's yours. You have it for 3 days,
yeah,
and then someone else is going to paint over you. Is it stopped graffiti from everywhere
yeah.
else because they have an outlet and they could do it.
Yeah, it was really cool and it made me feel good and it made my son feel supported and it made the other kids feel like they had a place to go to create, which was really cool. So that was really fun. But yeah, expansion.
Yeah.
Okay, where can people find you on social media? Tell everybody.
All social media, I am at Bronston Jones, Bronston Jones. And so you can find me there on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook. You will never find me on Snapchat because they are not doing nice things to Venice.
Right. Yes, they're
You will
creating,
never find me
yeah,
there.
they're creating some high prices in Venice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I had a lot of fun.
I did too.
That
This
was
is
really
great.
fun. All
Good
right,
energy.
guys. Woohoo! All right, see you later. And on the count of 3, fuck wheat.
Fuck wheat.
Don't go anywhere because I'm sitting with somebody that I want you guys to know about. His name is Jake Lloyd, and he has a really cool podcast.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, you want to tell everybody about it?
I would love to tell everybody about it. The name of the show is Elaborate, and it is not therapy, but it's not therapy. I sit down every... Wow, that was so smarmy the way I said that. I just
I
gave
liked
myself
it.
douche chills.
No, I liked it. It was
In any
good.
case, it's a really fun show where I sit down with creative types, some people I know really well, some people I don't know that well at all, and I just sort of dive into their lives. I learn about them. I learn about why they are, where they come from, and what is wrong with them.
Yeah, you do, because I did your podcast.
You did do a fantastic episode of it.
Thank you. I had so much fun, and we talked about so many deep things.
We did, and I really appreciated how transparent you were, because that's sort of the name of the game with my show. Transparency is key.
Like, you know how to get in there. You know what I'm saying? That's what you do, Jake. You get in there.
Well, I'm going to leave it at that. Please check it out at elaboratepod.com. On iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever podcasts are found, you will find Elaborate.
Awesome. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for
talking
having
about
me.
this. All right. See ya.
Bye.
It's Dragon Wagon.